I'm Stephen Wells, the host of the Motoring Weekly podcast for the Australian historic road and racing community. I'm down at Goulburn at the One Raceway at a very cold and windy HSRCA Spring Festival, and I'm about to head down to the track and meet some of the folk and see how conditions are. I'm with Wayne Wilson, president of the HSRCA, as I said earlier, down at a very cold and blustery One Raceway. Wayne, how's the day started for you? When I came in, you were just finishing one of your, I think it was qualifying, and I just saw you pulling in the pits. What was it like on track?
Look, most of the circuit, 95% of it has dried out since the weekend, and the wind's blowing overnight and the sun's out, which is lovely. And the sun is out right now as we're speaking. But there's some water running across the circuit at the end of the main straight at turn 1, which is difficult. So a few guys have aquaplaned across it and had some exciting 360s. There's a lot of runoff down there. It's the extensions to the circuit are very safe and so on, but it's a bit disconcerting, and we're hoping that it'll stop running off later. I'm assured by the management that it should stop running by about 11 o'clock or thereabouts. And otherwise, everyone's trying to is having a good time. They've got to have the right attitude in weather like this.
Yep.
You know, it's my fridge down here was warmer this morning than the outside temperature. And you can get some extremes, as I said to the driver's briefing this morning. You probably experienced your hottest race event ever down here in our early in the year, but it's even for here. It's unseasonably cold.
Yeah, when I walked down from the spectator area at the top of the hill, it was blowing a gale, and I reckon it was wind chill factor was down around about the 0 mark. It was just cutting straight through. So from the car's perspective, has it affected anything on your driving style?
Very much. I mean, I just qualified 12 seconds or something slower than normal because I get to the end of the straight and I line the car up straight. I'm not good in the rain at any time. It's not raining, but it's aquaplaning territory down there. Although I noticed that the sedans were out a little while, and an old 122 Volvo was going through there very quickly. And they've got thinner tyres, closer to street tyres, and they pump water out, and they got through there very confidently. The Minis were the best to watch going through there because the Minis are front-wheel drive, and they just pointed at where they were going and kept their foot down. That's a passing thing. It should be better. I just noticed they're going out with a blower, so that could be positive to blow some water away. And otherwise, it's going to plan. We'd like to have a few more entries for this event, but it's still getting back into the calendar for some people, and it's a challenge for us. We've got 9 categories this weekend, so people are assured of more track time. We're having tomorrow. We're having a 10-lap race in the morning and a 12-lap race in the afternoon for most categories. I'm just concerned I'm going to run out of petrol.
Well, I like these 2-day events that you guys do because it allows people to come down either for both days or get down on a Sunday and actually see some proper racing going on and enjoy the spectacle of some of these fabulous old cars, especially your 2 Brabhams that are always immaculately turned out. Here tomorrow, all day, encourage people to come down and to be able to, although it might be a little bit cold, to enjoy the spectacle.
Absolutely, and it's cold. It's the weather. It's just life. But they're very welcome to come down tomorrow. We've got catering here with some very nice German sausages that also do hamburgers and good winter food, and a coffee machine, a coffee lady who's fantastic. Here's the next category going out. It's all dry up there now, but tomorrow, and spectators are free and welcome. So. We like to see people coming along, and of course at historic racing you can get very close to the cars. There's absolutely no security, and we're happy to talk about the cars, and you can get the smell and sound of racing as it ought to be.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Wayne. It's good to get a catch up from you, and good luck for the day, and I know you'll enjoy it.
Thank you. Pleasure.
I'm with Richard Caller out at One Raceway at the Spring Festival, and I saw a very nice light blue MGB GT parked up, and I wanted to have a chat to the owner and the driver because it's had a bit of a history. So, Richard, tell me about your car.
Okay, the car was originally built in 1993 by Bob Rowntree up at Thirlmere. He raced it with his wife for a while before he sold it to John Young, who sold it to Rick Marks, who sold it to Laurie Sellers, who sold it to Peter Whitten, who raced it for many years. And Peter sold it to someone in Victoria who had it for a couple of years. Who then sold it to Greg Smith back up here. And it was the HSRCA winter meeting at at Sydney Motorsport Park in 2021. A car hit the right rear wheel at the end of the straight and turned him into the concrete wall near the grandstand, and then bounced off that wall, across the track into the pit wall. Everybody said the car could never be repaired. I bought the wreck from Greg 2.5 years ago now, and set about rebuilding it, and it took me about 14 months to rebuild. Some major work done to it.
So what was, I think I saw some of the pictures, and it was completely smashed, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, so everybody just said that can never be repaired. But I don't like never, so I went and collected as many new parts as I could possibly get hold of. The only second-hand parts in the structure of it are the chassis rails, but everything else is brand new, old stock, like all the front mudguards, or wings as you would call them in England. Everything else it's just new. Then I looked at it after it was painted. Thought, I can't put the old chrome work on it because it was all covered in chips and dull and things like that. So what I thought would be about a $20,000 job to fix, I think I'll probably spend at least 40 because of all the new chrome work and lights and everything else which I put in it.
Yeah. So it's effectively a newish old car.
Yes. There's very little of the original car left.
But it looks absolutely fantastic. You've done a good job in getting that rebuild done, because you wouldn't know that it had had such a horrific accident along the way. And how is it running today?
It is absolutely fantastic. I had engine troubles with it at Sydney Motorsport Park in June. So in the last 2 months I've built a complete new motor for it and changed a few other things around. And it feels fantastic to drive. It's braking beautifully, handling beautifully. Performance is great. So I'm extremely happy at the moment.
And down here it's very windy, and I'd noticed there was still some water on the track earlier. How is that affecting you, or are you able to just run through that with the wind?
The wind's not a big problem. This morning's qualifying was a big problem because the track was still wet. It was only just starting to get a dry line towards the end of our session. I did have one spin, mostly because I got onto some mud on the track. This last race, short time ago, the track is dry except for down near the end of the straight. But it's not affecting it. It's still doing full speed through the wet patch.
Yeah. So you said that you've got a new motor in it. What sort of power have you got coming out of that motor?
Around about 115 horsepower at the wheels, and that's got the high ratio 3.9 diff in it and 195/60 series tyres on it. So diff ratio and tyre size obviously make a little difference. But it's performing beautifully.
And I was just going to ask quickly, what did you have before the MG?
Well, the gentleman that I worked for over 10 years, he loved his historic racing. Him and his son had raced many times in MGs. And when the MG racing fellas came up from Victoria to Eastern Creek in 2019, I drove his MG and did extremely well in it. So he said, we're going to build you a car. So a customer that was in palliative care, his wife came in, wanted to sell their car. It was rather rusty. We bought it for what we thought was a fair price. Then I stripped it right back, sandblasted it, and built the car. That was a 1973 model, one of the last of the chrome bumper cars. And it was very fast as well.
So you've got a bit of a history in rebuilding MGs, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm 62 now. You could say my apprenticeship has been going, well, my time in the trade has been going since I was about 18 months old. Dad's got pictures of me in nappies under the cars with him. And Dad did his apprenticeship with a company called Press Metal, which was the BMC importer. And Press Metal turned into LNC Industries. So yeah, I've got a history with the BMC products, and a bit of a love for them. And then doing the building race cars and restoration work and that sort of stuff when I was working for Jeff Morse down at Brookvale for over 10 years, and I loved it.
Well, I come out of an engineering background as well, and my father built farm equipment, so we ended up with lots of big equipment to play with, but also he did all the repairs on our cars. So when I got my MG, I remember I was going to swap the batteries over because I didn't know how old they were, and I was parked outside the front of the house. I was looking into the back of the car with the roof off, and my father cruised by in the Jeep, came back, he'd packed up, he came back with a handful of tools, and he said, you'll need these. And I said, how do you know what I was going to do? And he said, the only thing down there are the batteries, and these are the things you need. And I was just swapping out the 2 batteries out from behind the seats. He knew everything about those older British sports cars and old Jags and stuff, and he could just think about what needed to be done, and by sound or smell would know how to fix it. Are you the same in that respect?
Yes, well, one thing I say to a lot of people, I can't sing and I can't play an instrument, but I can sit there and I can hear the change in the motor as I'm tuning it and know when it's right. I did my apprenticeship with Fiats and Alfas, so adjusting the twin Webers and stuff like that all the time. And I've always had performance cars, so it's just second nature to me, and I just love it.
Well, that's the thing. I think when I'm sort of nearly your age, and I just love coming down to these events and looking at the cars that people like you have rebuilt and kept maintained, because you don't see a lot of them on the road. When you do, everybody looks at them because they're so special. And to come down and see them effectively in their native environment being used properly is fabulous. It doesn't matter whether it's an MG or I noticed the TR7 over the paddock there, which I want to go and have a chat to the guy because I ran TR7s for a while. But you've got, that mentality of keeping it working, and the pleasure that you've got out of it and everybody else in seeing it out on the track is really important. And they do talk about the importance of, mental health on people who are actually looking after these, because they're always happy, because they're doing something they love and they enjoy. And even at other meetings, I've met guys in their mid-80s still running a single-seater, happy as Larry, because they're doing something that, gives them great pleasure.
You're right. I enjoy building the cars just as much as driving them. And I think there's about half a dozen cars here this weekend in Group S, Group N, regularity and super sprint, which I've had a major hand in working on. Some are for friends' cars, some are customer cars from places where I've worked. And I just get a real buzz out of working on the older cars, seeing them do well, being around the atmosphere, the friendship. Like everybody wants to help everyone.
That is something I've noticed here and at other race meetings, that everybody chips in to help out and get things sorted out. I was down with the Formula V's earlier, and there was a guy who clearly had a bit of an off into the mud, but the other guys were round helping him, get the bodywork off and tidying it up again so he could get out. That's the camaraderie of historic racing, and why I think it needs to be supported in the long term.
Oh, you're right. The unfortunate part is the young kids are more interested in their high-performance Japanese cars. Very, very few are interested in historic vehicles. And that means it's people probably mid-50s or older are the ones which enjoy it. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people which are getting quite on, such as 70s and 80s, which have health issues and they can't run their cars anymore. But the young kids don't want to know about them, unfortunately.
And I've known a few people who've had, sons and daughters who've said no, they don't want to do it, but the grandkids have realised what they've got, and they've started to look at them a bit more seriously, because you can't lose some of these bits of machinery, because they're important not just to people like yourself, but also when you look at how you're spending some money. You said you spent 20-30 grand on rebuilding a car. That's actually helped other people in the economy by doing that, and that flows on through a range of different communities.
Well, it does. I'm just very, very lucky that I do the work myself. The only stuff which I haven't done on that car is the machining on the engine block and the porting on the cylinder head and the dyno tuning. Plain and simply, I don't have those facilities. But it's a love. It's just a total passion to do it. And I'm a mechanic. I'm not a panel beater or a painter, yet the quality of my car makes people's heads turn. And I did the whole lot, every millimetre of the car.
Well, it certainly does, because I stopped and looked at it when I first saw it, because it was in such great condition, and it sort of threw me back, 40 odd years to when I raced with my MGB. So that's why I had to have a chat to you, because it's an amazing bit of kit, and you're smiling all the way through this interview, which means that you thoroughly enjoy the vehicle and coming out to the race meetings.
Well, you're right there. And what makes it even better is my partner is now doing it with me, and she's enjoying it as well, and her daughter. And so it's just great to be doing it. And my other friend that's here today with me has driven down from Coffs Harbour just for the weekend to help. And it's just a nice feeling to have friends and family here doing it with me. Yeah, sure, I'm getting the fun out of it, but it's also great to be able to have special people around me as well.
Thank you, Richard. It's been great to catch up with you and talk about the car and your history with MGs and bits and pieces. I did see you out on the track in that last session. I look forward to seeing you out a little later, and then good luck for tomorrow as well.
Well, thank you very much, and hopefully everything keeps on going well for the weekend. As long as it stays dry, we'll be okay.
I did look at the radar, and although we've got some grey clouds, it doesn't seem to be much coming our way. It's just the wind. So good luck for the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, and thanks for spending the time with me.
Cheers, thanks. I'm in a windy pit with Eli Solomon. Eli, you're racing with Jeff Piggott. You're using his beautiful 58 MG Special. It's been a bit windy, it's chilly. How was the car for you today?
Well, when I woke up this morning, there was a rumor that there was going to be some snow here, and I thought that's bragging rights. But no, actually, it's dried out. It was a little damp at the start, but the cars run fantastically well. It's fantastic weather for racing, considering where I come from, which is Singapore. But no, it's been great fun out there. The car's been behaving very, very well. The driver's comfortable. You know, if you can get around the wet patches around the first turn, it's.
I did hear that they'd taken the blower out earlier to try and get rid of some of that because it was quite bad, and I saw at least one Formula V that had more mud on it than paint, so I think the qualifying session's a little entertaining for people this morning. But how long have you been running the car?
Jeff allowed me to race it in regularity a couple of years ago at Eastern Creek. And I like this car. I mean, I've got a TA Special, similar engine to Jeff's car. And I've had a couple of sports cars over the years. And this is a very neutral handling, well-behaved car. It puts a smile across your face every time you get in and drive it.
And is it do you feel it needs a bit more power, or do you feel it's the perfect package for you?
You can never have enough power. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone wants more power. It's just whether you can harness that power or not. But no, I think for its age and its engine, it's you drive to your limit. And the car behaves.
It's certainly well maintained. You know, every time I see it, it just looks absolutely fabulous. So you've been running it for a couple of years with Jeff. Are you going to bring down any of your own vehicles here?
Yeah, I do. I have a Brabham that is still in Invercargill in New Zealand. I'm not from New Zealand, but we used to go there every summer and race, and that car's been kept there. I mean, I'd like to bring it here. Yeah, I would. I'd like to keep a couple of cars over here and do some racing with friends. Yeah.
And is that a single-seater?
The Brabham's a BT18, yes, 1966 Formula 2.
Okay, so I did interview a guy a little while ago who's got an 18. It's absolutely beautiful piece of kit.
Yeah, that would have been John Macy, wouldn't it? Well, interestingly, that car was actually from Singapore, run by Lee Han Seng, the Singapore Grand Prix in, I think 66, 67. Yeah, with a BRM tuned engine. Right. Yeah, I'm familiar with that car.
How long have you been in Singapore?
Native,
okay. So the reason I asked that question is about the racing there. So as you grew up, what was the racing like up there? Because obviously we've got the Singapore Grand Prix now, and there was one, as you referenced earlier. What was the sort of time between drinks between, the last and then the current series of races?
Well, the last Grand Prix on a street circuit in Singapore was in 1973 in April. And that was won by Vern Schuppen, Australian, right? And you didn't have any circuit racing until 2008 when Formula One was introduced to Singapore. So the only racing we kind of had between 74 and 2008 would have been car park rallies and auto tests, no hill climbs. And if you wanted to really go circuit racing, the closest place would be Malaysia. Yeah,
and that one in the kind of 60s and 70s, were they non-championship races?
It was a Formula League right till 1970, and then subsequently there was some regulations set in on engine capacity, number of valves per cylinder, that sort of stuff. It was non-championship in Singapore. Subsequently, Rothmans got involved, I think, from 75, 76, and then you had a kind of a regional championship which roped in the Selangor track outside Kuala Lumpur, and Penang, Macau, and Philippines. So they did try to create a regional championship, and that was just after the oil crisis.
Right. And is that similar to like the Tasman series down here, just getting people back into motorsport of some kind?
Tasman series, sorry,
So was that to get people back into motorsport, setting up those championships?
No, I think there's a strong following. There are two levels of motorsports back then. You had the single-seaters and you had the invited drivers, your Graham Lawrences, your Malcolm Ramseys, Kevin Bartletts, and so on and so forth. But you also had the local, the grassroots racing, which was extremely popular because you had the saloon cars. And at that time, you had the super saloons and the silhouettes. And that brought in the crowds because that's the kind of car that they would see their dad drive or friend drive. And that made a lot of sense. And that was extremely popular. And that kind of sustained the interest in motorsports and sort of brought in the sponsors like Nestle, Rothmans, Shell, so on and so forth.
Because I think most people wouldn't associate Singapore with having a motorsport pedigree, because if you go up to the city, other than the Formula One Grand Prix, you would look at it and say, well, where would you race around here? Because it's such a developed island at the moment.
Well, we look back at early part of its history. Singapore was colonial until independence in 65. So you had a strong British contingent, you had a strong RAAF, an Australian Kiwi contingent as well, military, businesses, so on and so forth, a lot of support from the aviation industry. So you actually had some form of motorsports from the 1930s onwards. Hill climbs and sprints were very popular. There wasn't a Grand Prix per se in Singapore until 1961. But prior to that, you actually had the RAF bases used as for circuit races. But again, you had possibly 50 events a year, sprints and hill climbs, and because the hinterland was hooked up by a causeway and there was a lot of the relationships were quite strong, it was easy to go up and down the Federation, Malayan Federation, and race. And you could race up in Penang or in Seremban, in Malacca, in Kuala Lumpur, in Johor. So there was a lot of activity going on from the 30s right through to the 60s.
Did you grow up hankering for racing? Did you come out of an engineering background and follow it, or when did your interest in motorsport sort of start to happen?
Oh man, I can't even remember. I mean, I had an interest in motorsports. And we lived right across from the old street circuit on Upper Thompson Road. And both my parents were from the industry, not motorsport, but transport industry. So I kind of grew up with, infused with that sort of interest, although they didn't like the idea of me going racing when I first mooted the idea. I mean, I did get involved with auto testing in Singapore in the late 80s. I didn't find it thrilling. It was damaging to the car, the transaxle. But I actually got involved in motorsports when I was living in Hong Kong, because there's a racetrack in China. I did a course over there, and then I went to the US and did a couple of weeks of race training there, and then just took off after that. It was I like the engineering side of it more than anything else, but the race weekends are fun.
Because you're not an engineer by trade, are you?
No, I'm not. I used to work in an investment bank and banking sector. But what's that got to do with it?
Well, just a lot of people, come out of a background and they get involved in engineering because they enjoy the nuts and the bolts and the bits and pieces, or they've done, tinkered with motorbikes or whatever. But you've come from a different background, but you've got that desire to get out on the track and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Well, I like the mechanics of it all. A hobby of mine is actually using a lathe and a CNC mill that I have and making things. So there's, there is a deep-seated interest in how everything works.
And also when you've got cars from the 50s, as you've got here, they're relatively straightforward to maintain, but you still got to make bits for them, don't you?
Yeah, yes, you do. And that's the beauty of it, because you can make stuff for a classic car of the 30s, 40s, 50s. The material technology then isn't as sophisticated as it is now, so you can get brass and, to a certain degree, different sorts of aluminum, and steel, and pretty much fabricate anything for a car. And that's the beauty of having an old car.
Because they do look relatively straightforward, but as with most machines, there's always something that can go wrong in them that you've got to figure out And there's a level of that logic and triage to be able to work out what the hell's going on at any one time. But it sounds like the MG Special is running really well at the moment. And as I've spoken to others like you, they've got a big smile on your face because you've enjoyed the time out on the circuit.
I think it's the best it's run since I've taken it out. I mean, it had some work done in Sydney a few weeks ago, and it was rolling road tested. But it's the tractability is so much better. It's singing out there on the track, and it's road holding. It hugs the road, the circuit very, very well. And you could throw it around. I don't over rev it. I treat it with caution and respect. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, except for the cold weather, the bitterly cold weather today.
Well, I think what people should do is, if they can't get down to watch racing over this weekend, they should head over to Eastern Creek in December when it's a lot warmer and see some of these gorgeous cars out on the track, because you'll never see cars like this on the road, and some of them are almost one-off specials that are being lovingly maintained, and even the ones that you do recognise, the amount of work and effort gone into maintaining them is unbelievable, and they're all beautiful to watch on the track. So, yeah.
Stephen, it's not just about watching other people races. There's so much else that's going on. The merchandise, if you're into buying caps and shirts and memorabilia, Eastern Creek's a great place to go to in summer and late November, and that's part of the enjoyment of the whole weekend.
Thank you, Elliot. It's good to catch up with you again, and have fun this afternoon on the track.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephen.
I'm with Paul Simpson with a very beautiful Alfa GTV. Paul, first of all, what was the day like so far for you?
Yeah, it's been a good day. I actually qualified 6th behind my mate who's got the white one there. And we ended up, he got a 4th and I got a 5th, so really happy with that. And haven't had the car long, so it's still running and it's still together, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. And Group S, describe Group S in a few words.
Yeah, Group S is different categories. There's SA, SP, SC, and depending on what year model, mine's an SC, that's pre-1980 cars, sports cars. And so if it's pre-1980 and it's on a list of eligible SC cars, you can run it in SC. Yeah.
And how long have you been running this car?
I've only just had it a couple of months, so it's my first race with it. Yeah.
That's even better. So how have you found it? Did you come and do any track days beforehand to get a feel of it, or you jumped in it?
Of this car, yes, I did one track day just to give it a shakedown, to make sure that nothing was falling off it, and it was what I thought it was. So, yeah, it has been. Now I'm saying I think I got an all right buy.
Right.
Yeah,
good.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah. And what's been done to it to convert it into the race car?
Yeah, so it's you've got to leave the interior pretty much as it was, but you've got to put a full roll cage in. You can't really lighten them that much. Obviously, you've got race seats. You can do a little bit of work on the engine in terms of some high compressions and valves, but basically it's got to be the same configuration it was when they were built. So, nothing like turbos or anything like that, standard configuration. Yeah.
And why an Alfa?
I'm an Italian car nutter.
Okay, so am I.
Yes, I have Italian cars at home. In fact, I used to race a lot of Fiats, but Fiats are actually pretty hard to get bits and pieces, particularly performance bits. So I've changed allegiance and I'm now running an Alfa. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, because I do have a handful of Italian cars myself. Talking about very hard to get bits, I've had a 4-month wait to get a windscreen on a 2013 500.
Oh dear. 2013 500? Oh, Fiat?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So not even an old one,
No.
but one that I would have thought they'd have had parts in, and I'm just waiting on a few bits and pieces on the front. So I've got some drive shafts to go on and other bits, and I'm waiting for them to come in.
Yes, like with these old Italian cars, that can be the case. Sometimes you've got to wait for the bits and pieces. You know?
What annoys me is that it's not that old.
No. What year, did you say
2013.
2008? Oh, that's a 2013. Yeah, no, it's not that old. No, you should be able to get bits and pieces, shouldn't you? But yeah, Italian cars, there's not a lot of people running them in Australia, and yeah, you've got to be an enthusiast. So that's what we all are. Yeah. So, yeah.
And this particular one, where did you find it?
Okay, this car's been racing for quite a long time in Victoria. It's quite a well-known car. So it's probably been in race. It's probably been racing for 10 years. So I was looking for either an Alfa 105 or an Alfetta. The 105 is pretty expensive. But this came up, had a pretty good history, had the right bits and pieces on it, so I thought, it's probably a decent buy. So, and as I said, I'm happy with it now.
It's funny because I've interviewed a few people in the last year that have bought cars from Victoria, either Group S or Group N, and they've come up and they've been filled to bits with the cars that they've got because they're in high quality, fully sorted already, and it was just like you, the driver, getting used to the car.
Yeah, I think the Victorians do a pretty good job. They've got a pretty strong N category and S category down there. So yeah, I've got to take my hat off to the Victorians. I think they do a pretty good job. But I live on the far north New South Wales coast, so I'll be running in New South Wales a bit. Might do a bit in Queensland as well. So we'll see how the next year comes along. But looking forward to a bit of fun in it. Yeah.
And you've enjoyed it so far down here?
Yes, it's been good, except it's been bloody cold. Last night I was a bit worried because pouring down with the rain. We had a wet session this morning qualifying, which was interesting. But look, as you can see, the weather's improving. I think tomorrow's even better. So we should get some pretty good dry racing to this afternoon and tomorrow. Yeah.
I don't think the temperature's improving much, but certainly it's dried, and I hope some of the track has dried out a bit for you.
Yeah, the temperature is certainly not increasing. It is bloody cold. And I think tomorrow's still going to be cold anyway. So we'll put up with that, but at least if we have some sunshine, that'll be good. Yeah.
Well, good luck for today and tomorrow. Love the car. I'll look out for it on the track a little later.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good talking.
Thanks, Paul. Bye.
Bye.